Yeah, because I don't prepare shit. This is like my third take on a bullshit video. So, welcome to my crib. Uh, so, it's really hard for me to be on the interweb because I have this IQ filter. So, I don't really see the bullshit, and I also don't speak stupid. So I don't really understand what a lot of guys talk about. But we have to talk about positive things. And I'm going to start off with something that is really fucking amazing. There's this guy on the interweb. I don't know the name. I'm sorry about that. But maybe I learn one day. He has a Mercedes diesel engine, of course, a 606, and a VNT turbo. And uh, I just got a message. And he has a VNT turbo and a DSL1 and so on, stock EDC pump for the moment. And he's sharing all his progress. He takes photos of the maps he's doing and everything like that. And this is the kind of people that we want in our community. We need more people like this that show and share and, know what they're doing. And from what I've seen, he knows what he's doing. If that is luck, if he's read how to do it or asked someone, I don't know, and I don't really care because he's doing it. He's doing it right, and he's sharing it with all of us. So that's good. That's the positive for today. Negative? No, we're not gonna do negative. I don't like that. Clutches. I did a post today about that. No, I didn't. I answered the post. I have messages that is really important that I have to read at the same time. Clutches. So it was some guy that bought a clutch kit and got no response from the vendor and no help and no nothing, and the clutch don't work. And there were like 18 comments or something, and everybody has some kind of solution, and me as well. So I posted a solution. But not everyone find that post and read it at the time they need. So I'm gonna make a video about it. Some people are using the Sachs 765 pressure plate, which is an awesome pressure plate that I use a lot. But I use this on the DMR flywheels, the dual mass replacement. So that means it's a yay big flywheel that has a pilot bearing in the middle, and you use that together with a gearbox with short input shaft. That's why the pilot bearing is in the flywheel, of course. And the 765 pressure plate is a really tall one. Like go-to pressure plates, I don't think there's much that is taller. So having a yay big flywheel and like yay big pressure plate makes your space inside your gearbox really at a premium. So that's not really the best way to do it. And secondly, the 765 has a really long throw, and this normally fucks a little bit with your stock clutch release setup. So we're going to talk about, I don't give a shit what pressure plate you use. You can use whatever you want, and the vendors can use whatever they want. I use a thinner pressure plate for the thicker flywheels, and for the thinner flywheels I use a thicker pressure plate. I don't know if that's common sense or what it is, but yeah, everyone each on their own, or something like that in English. So this is how it works. There are two types. Now there are more styles. I don't give a shit, but we're going to talk about two styles of clutch release mechanism that are stock on our gearboxes. So the BMW style, we can call it, because I don't know any BMW gearbox that is not this style. And that's an arm that sits inside your gearbox, and in the middle of the arm you have a clutch release bearing, I think it's called in English. On one side is a fixed pivot point, and on the other side you have your slave cylinder that pushes the arm, so the arm angles like this, and the clutch release bearing is like this, so it can move, so it sits on your springs on your pressure plate and pushes those inwards, and that will release your clutch. So this is a very common clutch out system thing, whatever. Sometimes English is hard. And how do you adjust it? First of all, you need the correct geometry inside your gearbox. So if we are under the car now, because it's easier to show with the angle, and you look up under your car and you have your arm there. If that arm is in an angle like this, and your pivot point is here and your slave cylinder is here, then when you push, not much happens, right? If it is straight, when you push it, it's going to be in a really bad angle. So you need the correct geometry, and the correct geometry is of course half and half. If you start halfway down and then you're going to go and finish halfway up, so you don't get any crazy angles. And depending on throw, you have to start in a different position. But yeah, what people normally do that are fiddling with their clutches is they take this big hole saw and they drill a hole in the bell housing, because then you can see what the fuck is happening. You yell at your mate, clutch, and he's clutching, and you look in the hole. Yeah, setting that up will take you 10 minutes. Not having a hole, and that's a lot more exciting. So, I mean, do whatever you want, but find a big, nice rubber plug, and then you drill a hole that is the same size. And when you're done, you put your plug in there. That's what I would do if I was fiddling with clutches I didn't know nothing about. So how do you fix it? Your pivot point, your fixed pivot point, is threaded normally. Maybe you have a gearbox that is not, then you have to figure this out another way. But they're threaded. So you thread it out, you put 2 washers under it, and you thread it in again. If you need to move it up, of course. If you don't need that, you have to do another way. The most common problem though is the slave cylinder throw, because the 765 has a very long throw. So you need a long throw on your slave cylinder. And then you think, but my slave cylinder is my slave cylinder, it has the throw it has. No, it doesn't. Because when you push that in on your stock clutch setup, it goes in a little bit. And if you measure that little bit, and then you take your slave cylinder in your hand and you push it in, you're going to see that the movement is 2-3 times more. So that means that you can extend the arm on your slave cylinder and thereby get more throw. It is not harder than that. So you extend it, and I mean, I usually extend 2 centimeters, 20 millimeters, because I have to start somewhere. Maybe I need more, but I'm not breaking shit, right? Maybe I just need 1 centimeter, or maybe I need 5 millimeters. So the first time you step on your clutch, and this is not driving, this is in the garage trying your clutch out, you have to feel your clutch pedal if it's any abnormal resistance, you're gonna stop. And then you have to take material off the extended end. It is not harder than that. And you adjust that till your clutch is releasing. But if it is not releasing stock, probably you need to alter the pivot point as well. 2 washers is easy because it fits and you can thread it back in. If you're worried about this little bit of thread, you put a little bit of Loctite in there and you put it in. And this will help a lot when you extend the slave cylinder rod. If you are running some kind of crazy setup that is far from any original measurements, you take your pivot point little thing out and you drill through the gearbox and you tap it the same thread you had maybe or whatever you want, and then you put a bolt in from the outside with a nut on it first, and you put your bolt in and then you use the bolt as pivot point, and then you can adjust it how much you want in and out, and you lock it with a nut. So I mean, it is not rocket science, but if you have not done it, you don't know. I mean, you can't just wake up in the morning and like, I know this. So it is really, really fucking simple. But if you don't know it, you don't know it. Now you know. So now you don't have any excuses. The other style, because we're going to talk about 2, is the hydraulic throwout bearing. That's the name. And that is a little adapter that sits inside your gearbox. And normally it's 4 bolts that is bolted downward. And then there's a hydraulic line, of course, from your master cylinder that goes to this. And when you push the clutch, the entire bearing goes out straight. And this is, of course, very good because you don't have a geometry to think about. There are some gearboxes that has bearings that are not sealed in the back. And that can make it a little bit harder to move. But normally they are sealed. And then you just put washers behind it and bolt it down. So that's much easier. You just space it out till it works. Done. So that is good and easy. If it is not sealed in the back, you just fab up a little blanking plate on the back that you bolt down. It's not harder than that. But yeah, so one took 12 minutes and one took 1. Yeah, because the hydraulic throwout bearing is awesome in many ways, but it sucks in other, because you have to take your gearbox off if something happens. The slave cylinder, on the other hand, is on the outside with 2 bolts, so that is simpler in that way. Drilling a hole in your bell housing is a good idea because you know what you're doing. And if you work in blind, it is not that fun. So that's all about setting up clutches for today. If vendors don't help their customers, someone has to make a video about it, right? So see you another day. Bye.